Good morning, Mr. Disney.
Good morning.
It is our honor to have you for an interview.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your 50 years of achievement in entertainment.
Thank you. It doesn't seem like 50 years, I promise.
Based on your half a century of experience, what do you think about educating children through entertainment?
Well, certainly that's one of the functions of entertainment, I think, is education, but I think you have to be very careful not to pose as an educator when you're an entertainer. I think you have to entertain first, but you have to understand that no matter what you do, there's always a subtext. And it can be for good or bad, but it's always there. There's always some lesson to be learned by storytelling. And so keeping that in the back of your mind is a good idea.
Given there is a wonderful children's story to tell, how do you decide whether it should be told using traditional animation like Lilo and Stitch, CGI film like Finding Nemo, or live action movie like Spy Kids?
That's a really hard question, and I think it really is answered by the particular filmmaker as much as anything. I think different artists see things differently, and one artist may envision the look of a film in a different way from another. We have such an enormous choice now of looks and styles that it really becomes a particular artist's choice, or a producer's choice maybe, as opposed to being generated by the story itself. Sometimes I think Lilo and Stitch wouldn't have been as good a movie in 3D as it was in 2D, because there was a cartooniness about it. But I'm not sure in the hands of another filmmaker if that would still be true. It's a matter of choice, and the choices get wider and wider as time goes by.
Speaking of computers in entertainment, does the CGI film that strives towards more realistic animation add to the magic and power of animated storytelling?
We had a sequence in Fantasia 2000 that involved whales that flew, and it was done in a semi-photorealistic style, but it was about magic. And I think the realistic style actually contributed a great deal, because the whales, since they looked so real, it appeared to have weight and volume and all of the things that whales have. So the magic when they flew was especially clear. Again, it's a question of style. It's a question of what the story calls for and how realism plays off against fantasy. In terms of all of the Matrix and X-Men kind of films that are out right now, for instance, play on that very same thing. They look real, but of course they're not at all real. They're almost completely animated films in one way of looking at it. You can go back to Titanic. You could almost consider Titanic an animated film, because so much of it was unreal or not filmed in the real world at any rate. So it contributes tremendously. I think, there's such a blurred line right now. I keep wondering why the Academy decided that they needed a separate category for animated films just at a moment when there are a lot of people who couldn't tell you whether a film is animated or not.
Is there a trade-off between traditional animation and CGI animation?
Yes, there are definite trade-offs, and certainly one of the, at least traditionally, the look of a Toy Story or a Finding Nemo is a kind of a plasticized look. That doesn't have to be what CG films look like, but it's, I think, the public kind of conception of what a CG film looks like. Everything we've done since Beauty and the Beast at Disney has passed through the computer. So you could probably say that everything we've done for the last 12 or 14 years is, in a sense, computer graphics. All that means is that we have these wonderful tools at hand, and we can make a movie look like anything we choose it to look like. And we need to, every time we make a decision about the look of a film, we've got this hugely broad palette to choose from. And so I get back to where I started, which is that it's an artistic choice that artists need to make. It's not a business decision, I think, unless that one is outrageously expensive and the other is very cheap, which will never be true for the same kind of quality.